All right. Ready, set, go. Oh, hi guys. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. I have something new that I'm doing today, and I just am so excited about it. This is Georgia from Purpose Driven Astrology. I met her because a very, very dear friend of mine bought me an astrology reading for my birthday. And I mean, like, what an amazing birthday present to get for somebody. What a good idea. But the first way that I knew, I've already got chills right now. The first way that I knew that I was connected to her in a way that was deeper than just, a birthday present reading, just any other reading that, and I've had a lot of different astrology readings, was the gift card that you had set up. I was so impressed by it. It was just this virtual gift card that you click this link and it opens up and all these, I don't know if they were butterflies or whatever it was, but it was like so alive. And there were a couple different screens that they were just like flowing into each other. And it was like this magical experience, just opening the gift card. I've got chills right now. I immediately was like, there's something so special about this. I cannot wait to get this done. It was perfect. So thank you for being here. This is your first time doing this kind of like collaboration or reading on camera?
I did one other with my astrology mentor, but That's been a while. Yeah. So for us, first time.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So I told her ahead of time to just buckle up a little bit. I'm really comfortable on here. Obviously, I've been doing this for a couple of years, but for those of you that are watching, I have a feeling that she's mirroring the stepping into your light, allowing yourself to be seen, opening your voice. It's almost like I couldn't even find the words for it. Opening your voice in a way that you've felt the call to do, but have been held back and held back and held back for whatever fear has been, stopping that in the first place. And I feel like what you're doing is mirroring to the people who resonate with that, who are ready for that right now. There are so many people in this collective that are meant to start stepping into the light. And we're going to talk about this Virgo New Moon. She's going to help us to understand what it's helping us with, what the purpose of it is, and some transits that are going on right now too. So for some of you, the purpose of this new moon is to help you to step into your light and push through whatever kind of fear has stopped you, because it's time to, it's like there's this call out there right now, call to action that is happening for a lot of people. So thank you for facing your fears and being the representative for that. And you're supporting a lot of people right now. So thank you. I'm going to put her contact information down in the box below. You can contact her by her email. So if you're interested in either speaking with her or getting an astrology reading from her, just send an email over to her and she'll give you all the information. We're working on a website. So I had asked you ahead of time too, if you had a website or if you had finished your website, and I was actually meditating on that ahead of time. Like, what information am I going to give my people about her? And it said website, and I almost knew, I happen to be pretty psychic, and I knew that you do your website. I wasn't finished yet. And what I saw was they don't need a physical website, because if they're seeing you right now, if they're invested in this collaboration, if they're invested in this video, they see you and you are on their web in some way. You're on their grid. And so that's how they're accessing that's the website reference that Spirit was giving me. So if they're here, you all are meant to connect with her for, even if it's just one thing that she says, it's going to be like, nailed it. Okay, this is what I have to do for the new moon. Okay. Will you just tell us a little bit about yourself? And I'm feeling like why you do astrology, how you kind of got into it.
Well, I'm Georgia of Purpose Driven Astrology, and I will say that I've been on an awakening process and a journey of self-exploration for many, many years. But in the last couple of years, I felt a push to study higher, to really look at my spirituality, and my purpose in this life. And I just knew I was meant to study and find out more, not only for myself, but also to help other people bring awareness to who they are. And I found my teacher. I actually asked Spirit, please show me, who do I need to study under? I started researching different schools. I'm a big researcher, sometimes too much down a rabbit hole. But my mentor actually showed up in my YouTube feed of all places. And again, I studied who she was, where she came from, what message is she bringing? Does it resonate with me? And just as her cart was opening, it opens twice a year for the astrology school. Just as it was opening, my moon was actually progressing into Sagittarius, which is the higher education, travel, exploration, and just
spirituality,
everything. Yes. So it was like perfectly aligned for me. So I moved through the school, but I really started just to understand myself. Like, why am I here? What am I doing? What can I bring to other people? And then I furthered that by studying the different relationships in my life. Not necessarily with a significant partner, but looking at my children, my relationship with my mother, just to see where the work is, where's the tension, where's the work. So being able to see that in myself, and then how I can support the other while supporting myself has really been a great gift. Yeah. So I love it.
Thank you. Something that came up for me and what I really love about what you said was that you signed up for the school because of the placement of your moon in what was going on at the time. And I was just talking to a client yesterday about, and I teach people how to trust their intuition. That's one of the hardest things when we're coming into our gift, and when we're really wanting to understand and listen to and tune into divine guidance. How do we know that we're getting the guidance, and how do we trust it? We have kind of, there are tools that we can take on in order to validate ourselves. And I have a lot of signs and synchronicities that I set up with the universe so that it validates me, and I don't need to seek that in anybody else. So I really love the idea of that kind of validation coming from your chart and what's going on in the chart, because you can look there and see, and sometimes it's like, yes, that makes perfect sense for why I just made the decision that I made. And understanding and looking at, witnessing yourself and thinking, did that come from ego, or did that come from divine guidance? Is this aligned for me, or am I making this decision out of fear because of this placement in my chart or this transit or whatever it is? Sometimes it makes so much sense to, and studying your chart, and especially what's going on at the time, is really great for learning how to trust what it is that you're getting anyway. Sometimes you just know these things innately. Now, for me, I can only go so far with my chart. And after that, it's like, it's too much. It's too much information, especially studying my birth chart versus like the chart now with all the transits that are going through and how that affects, like, plus it's in this house and all of these signs, and it turns into Greek for me. So there are certain aspects of certain signs that I understand. So you say Sagittarius, and I'm just like, oh, that shows up as spirituality for me a little bit. That's like one of the signatures that stands out to me. But when you get into more detail about, like, I know about new moon energy, but when we're talking about the Virgo new moon, and in combination with like what's happening in the cosmos and astrology right now, I have no fucking clue. So what you do is so important to people like us who are meant to help other people. And I know how important the astrology is to so much of the information that I'm getting. And since the beginning of my journey, I have been looking for an astrologer to connect with, to work with, who can combine and collaborate with me and the messages that I'm getting to not only validate them, but to add to them to make a bolder or a more detailed message for the people who, there are some people who resonate with channeling and getting the information in that way. Some people who resonate with astrology and it makes sense to them, it validates them in that way. And combining the two of them, because one of one of the people that I really look up to most is MJ from Soulful Revolution. I don't know if you've ever heard of her before, but she combines astrology with her channeling, and she's just this one big package teacher. And I know that she works with a lot of other people, but it's kind of what I aspire to, what I look up to. And I really love the way that she puts the message together with astrology. And I've tried to do that.
I follow her. Actually, I've seen her over the last few years, just adding in those different aspects. And I feel like it's just, you can see her changing and evolving and bringing more to people that need it.
Yeah. Yes. And I feel like the combination of the astrology with the messages that I bring through wherever they come from is so powerful. And I love that she does it in one package. But my North Node is in Libra. And something that I've been studying is the need to, the message in that is the need to create partnerships and learn about partnerships and allow myself to partner and come out of survival mode, which is what my South Node speaks to too. Yes. So it makes so much sense to me that it's like, I want to be able to do all the things. I'm not supposed to, though. It's a much more powerful message to partner with somebody else and to have them like collaborate and add. And it's like, yep, everything we were talking about before you even came on here, you're bringing up my chart. And I was just like, yes, that's exactly what was going on the last couple of days. And then I get information from it too. So, which I would not have gotten if you hadn't added your signature energy to the message. And I mean, it's alchemy. So
I love it. It's just such a gift. I'm just grateful for the connection and to your very, very good friend who actually did connect us. So
I love her.
Yeah.
She is actually, and has realized lately in the last year that that's what she does, is she's a connector. She's a networker. She's meant to bring people together in combination to almost like put them on their path of purpose. So God love her. There's something else that I was going to say about that too, but using astrology for the validation. There is something about the North Node. So the fact that I mentioned that I had taken this out of I have a folder of stuff that I look up when there's something going on that I'm drawn to, but it does feel like something connected to the North Node that maybe we need to bring up. I'm just going to write down for later. So if there's anything that comes up for that.
Well, your North Node being in Libra and mine is in Sagittarius. So mine's a spirituality, yours is a partnership. So we're partnering those two things together. I feel like that's the puzzle, it just really fits.
Chills, yeah. All the chills. I love
it. You're not meant to do it alone anymore. You don't have to.
Right. So I've had readings from other astrologers, and there, what I was getting was the message also that not only to partner with an astrologer, but that there's something important in my chart that I needed to find. This is a message like from Christ, the Christed ones, that there was something in my chart that I needed to find. And I have tried to get readings from certain people and it always falls through. Or the readings that I get from people, I'm like, that was not it. That was not what you were talking about, right? That wasn't it, because I didn't feel it. I mean, it was a good reading and it was what I needed at the time, but it wasn't I wasn't ready, I guess. It wasn't the resonance that they were trying to get me to. So this is different. She made me cry in a way that I haven't in a long time. The way that you piece things together intuitively too, and allow your intuition to speak through you and not just the connections in the chart and the knowledge of that stuff. The way you allow your intuition is what people need.
There's a lot of trust going on. Not only between you and I, but also myself and my higher self,
Yes. And I've come to a place of trusting it and having no other fucking choice but to trust it. The universe is like, trust or don't. But look at what happens when you don't. And they're making it clearer and clearer and clearer every day in bigger and bigger ways. So this is the repercussion if you don't.
After our reading, you felt like you got the message.
100%. Yes. And stuff so much has shifted since then. So much has shifted. And I know that it's this time of year, and I had from an astrologer before you, I had a solar return reading done. And it was all about this next year, working on all the details, bringing things together, having things be, it's the logistics, working on the logistics, creating action. And that's what I've been lacking most of the time when it comes to my purpose and my path. So, but yours kind of brought it together in a way that I understood the details, more details, what she was talking about, and like what I need to do about that, and the reason that I need to do about that, the reason that I'm feeling certain things. So yeah, it's amazing. Maze balls. So what we're going to do is she's going to use my chart as an example. So anytime that we need to refer to that as for resonance, and I'm going to be able to validate and let you guys know how that's affecting my life, which is probably going to be how it's affecting your life too. So she'll share the screen if we need to look at anything in that. But again, we'll be focusing on this Virgo new moon. And I asked her if there are any kind of transits or anything going on right now. That was most important. And I've heard other people talking about Mars in Gemini, right?
Yes.
So let's start with what are you feeling most drawn to right now?
It's funny you say feelings, because this weekend things get personal, and we are in our feelings because it is of the moon.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that immediately that brings me fear, because I am going to be around my ex-husband tomorrow.
Okay.
So when you say that, I'm glad that you say that, because it brings up the fear that I can face ahead of time to not allow him to affect me emotionally, not allow my emotions to get away with me, because that's usually what happens between us.
Well, that resonates too, because Mars, so we're talking about several aspects, right? We're talking about a new moon where the world is dark. It's really dark. It's a time of introspection. We're talking about Virgo, right? So getting things in order. And we're talking about Mars moving into Gemini, because it's squared the new moon right now. So it's the corner, right? If we're sitting at a table, it's that corner we can't really have a super good dialogue because there's tension.
Okay, so that's what a square is tension.
Yes. So if you imagine your chart, a big circle and a big red square around it, right? Yeah. So Gemini is squared to Virgo, and Mars is there. So Mars wants action. It can be angry and aggressive, and it's in Gemini, so it wants to talk, and it wants you to put that stuff out there in your words. So grounding is going to be really helpful for you. Yeah. And I'm glad that we can talk about it ahead of time, because I don't want you to feel off guard. I don't want you to be caught off guard being in that situation. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's exactly what I need, is to feel prepared ahead of time, but to feel safe in it, even if I'm experiencing those stronger emotions or whatever, because of the knowledge that I have that, this is normal. This is not just me, feeling this thing. It's just like, that's what he's representing too. Yeah. So yeah, I like to be prepared ahead of time. And that's one of the problems with the two of us, is that the communication, it's almost like we can't communicate except by email, because he wants to be prepared for everything. And in the moment, the emotions always take over. The anger always takes over. There's always this triggering. And so the only way it feels like to communicate at this point is like through email. And it's this, it feels very restrictive for me as a Gemini. Right. And I just want a dialogue and be able to have it flow back and forth. But there's always the threat of the emotions taking over. So it's no coincidence, right, that I'm going to be, and their stepmother is normally there also, and she and I communicate a little bit better, but she's not going to be there, and she just told me that this morning. So I realized that, it's just going to be me and him. Like, okay. Yeah, I think it's really important. Yeah, no, I think it's really important to, when you feel that energy building up, those emotions, because Mars wants you to take action, and being in Gemini wants you to use your words. Right. But it's important when you feel that you find a way to release it without burning everything to the ground. Yeah.
So whatever energy is present. So if it's a triggered emotion, Mars is going to want me to take action on the things that I want to communicate within that energy, which is not a good thing always, because I'm in triggered energy, and what I want to communicate about is whatever my thoughts are telling me, which may not be true to the situation that's going on. It may be coming from a past experience or something like that.
Right.
So
right.
just double checking what energy it is that I'm in. If I feel an urge, if Mars is pushing me to create action on something, really having the self-awareness to, okay, but what energy am I in right now that I'm communicating about?
Right. And you're already prepared for his energy,
Yeah.
right? You already have that shielding up of yourself.
Yeah.
You know what to expect.
Usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually.
I mean, but I'm glad for this, because then we have, we can anticipate a curveball.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay, good. So the new moon is today, right? Technically
it's overnight into, it's like 2 days worth. It's through the weekend.
Okay.
We're going to feel it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So for me, when I think of new moon, and you say something about the world going dark, and I also like to look at it as, there's so many times where I've gone hiking or I've been outside where the moon is dark, but there's so many stars out there.
Yeah.
You can see so much more because of the darkness, because the light of the moon is not blowing everything out. And the stars, I'm thinking of the star card in the tarot, and the star card is always is about manifestations and wishes and dreams and also healing. So I feel like it's kind of like allowing you to see the things that have not only are needing to be healed, but that have been healed, in order for you to be manifesting your dreams. And the new moon too is about setting your intentions and creating with the universe those things that you desire. And I think that what we need to focus on too are the things that we've already healed. We've already healed so much. I have already healed so much when it comes to him. Sometimes what I'm reacting to are the things that I sense that he hasn't healed yet. But then I get sucked into that. And it's like just shining the awareness on the fact that I've done so much work to heal the dynamic and that dynamic that's being mirrored inside of me. So that battle, that war that's going on inside of me, it's like I have all of these dreams. I have all of these things that I've been even just writing down in the last, since we've had our session, all these dreams and all these things that I want to manifest. And I hadn't been speaking my truth to him and to the situation and to, what it is that I'm trying to create out of fear of reaction. So I've put it out there now. And there is that typical fear of his reaction that I don't know that I've been witnessing that. I've healed a lot of that. I've healed a lot of that and I'm commanding my energy space more so I don't feel the effect of that. I'm not going to stop his reaction. His reaction is his reaction. I'm going to stop the way that I absorb it and give my power away when I feel it, because I'm trying to change that or change that or change that. It's like, no, I don't need to change you. I'm working on me in the way that my boundaries are, you be you. But that means I'm going to go and do this now. I'm not people pleasing anymore.
That's right. Boundaries are so important. Yep.
So for the new moon, for this Virgo new moon though, how does the fact that it is a Virgo new moon not only, utilize the idea of that, the energy of the new moon, partnering with it really for manifesting, but what does it do to add to it? And what is the Virgo new moon?
So it's getting things in order. So the new moon is, a time of introspection. So our inner world. And then Virgo wants to get things in order. So really just putting those two pieces together. So taking a look inside, what do we need to do to feel better as we come through this? What are we putting forward during this moon cycle?
Okay.
And the weekend wants us to bring order to that flow of how things are in our inner world.
Yeah.
So that we can bring forth harmony as we move through it.
Okay.
But having that, it's like peace, right? Finding peace from the outer world. But then knowing that Mars is going to come in and like put up against there and kind of want to Mars wants that attention. So just
Yeah.
being mindful
Yeah.
that as much as we want to go in and get things in order in our inner filing cabinet and find that peace, that we might have this neighbor, right, who's really poking at us.
Right.
And then finding a way to release that when it builds. You know, it could be different fears, right? It could be like fear of expressing your emotion,
Yeah.
Fear of using your words, opening that throat chakra, using that voice that we talked about when we started. Because Gemini wants to communicate, it wants to use the words, and Mars wants us to take that action.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm seeing like fear of not only repercussions or reactions or things like that, but fear of success is wrapped up in that too. Like the fear of what making change, fear of change. I've seen the fear of loss a lot recently too, like the pattern of the fear of loss, but also the fear of success, which activates all of these, when you have this subconscious fear of success and resistance to success, your brain is then going to focus on all the ways that you failed in the past to hold you back from success, because there's this belief that I don't deserve it, or I can't do it, or I can't do it alone, or I'm not worthy of it, or whatever it is. So I feel like it kind of brings to light too the things that we need to heal in order to achieve our dreams, which may be a subconscious belief that like your dreams could be this next step that you take. They're right there. They're right there. You're actually on the path to it right now. But change is terrifying.
Yes, it is.
Stepping into your light is terrifying, but it's what we've been asking for. So one of the things that he mirrors to me is the fear of change. He has a really hard time with change. And so I see that inside of me too, but I'm trying to make these bold moves in order to change my life, because where I am right now, or the life that I've created, there's a lot of lack here that is holding me back from being able to do what I want to do and what I love to do. And it's gotten to a point after we talked where it was just like, I can't do anything that's not in alignment with me anymore. I have to take my power back, and I have to create the life that I want. And that means collaborating with him in a way that like there's some changes that we need to make. And he always comes back with fear, always comes back with not wanting to change, he's a Taurus, not wanting to change.
Yeah, that
but that shows me like that it's all about the inner. It's not about him. He's just mirroring that to me. He's mirroring that the old fear of change. That's from the old template. That's from my ego. That's from the one inside of me that was affected negatively by change. She's not focusing on all the really beautiful things that came from those changes.
Yeah.
So now I need to shine the light on all the times in my life. And you had me, when you did my reading, you had me look back at a certain age. Like, first of all, let's start at, I don't have my notes out, but let's start at what happened at age 22? Can you like take yourself back to that time? And it was a period of massive change, and especially when it came to him. And then let's look back at this time period, like 28 or something like that. And because of the patterns that you were seeing in my chart. And I looked back on it and I've got chills again. It's like these periods of massive change. Oh my God, that's crazy. Okay. And then we went to another age, and it was this cycle, the same patterns. And I feel that it's even talking about it right now is just bringing up this subconscious belief or fear about change.
But also for you to acknowledge that you've moved through that you've overcome it.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And to be able to bring that. So it's almost like our inner dialogue too, what we're telling ourselves, right? So it's not just vocalizing the words, but also what we're telling ourselves in our mind.
Yeah.
I believe that that's part of the moon, but I know you moved through those cycles, and we did identify some patterns and some common themes.
Yeah.
That you have a lot to be proud of.
And even just talking about it, thank you. So that's funny. I was talking to a client yesterday, and that came up too, is like, you're moving into a whole new world right now, and he doesn't feel worthy of this world. And it's like, you've been in survival mode for a really long time. So it really is about recognizing and consciously reprogramming those things that point out all the ways that you failed, and really start pointing out what you're proud of when it comes to you. So I have this journal that I keep every single day where I write down things that I'm grateful for, my dreams and goals and aspirations, big or small. And then I've started writing down also things that I'm proud of, especially when it comes to myself. I just started doing that a couple of days ago. So
okay.
That's the hardest thing for us to recognize and is to look within, because normally what we're doing is looking within for problems. There's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. Let me go find it. Let me go find it. So I feel like this new moon is also helping us to shift our perspective and start looking for the things that, not that are wrong, but that are really beautiful and right.
I love
especially
that.
when it comes to change, looking forward and backwards.
Yeah, it's that healing aspect of Virgo, right? Not the meticulous, analytical, let me help you analyze. It's healing.
Yeah.
Virgo is the healer. Virgo wants to help raise and lift people up, that healing ourselves as well as helping the collective.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Virgo, the card in tarot that Virgo represents is the Hermit card too, which is a lot about looking within and shining the light on, shining the light on what's coming from within here. But I just feel like so many of us are not programmed to see the light. We're programmed to see the dark and the problems and the issues, because those are the things that feel most out of alignment. But we need to shift to start looking at the things that feel good and feel aligned, allowing ourselves to feel good and to notice the really beautiful things. So I also saw something the other day about empaths and a pattern that empaths have. And part of the reason that we're so sensitive to energy and we can read energy the way that we can is because of childhood trauma that we needed to kind of be on guard for. So it almost comes from the sustained survival mode where we had to sense every single little thing. We're watching for movements, we're watching for eye contact, or we're watching for like how their face looks in order to protect ourselves from angry outbursts or being beaten or whatever it is. So we became hyper vigilant to other people's energies.
Yeah, I feel that for sure. I feel that for sure. Intonations in a tone, right? I might talk to my mom and I go, what is your tone? What is that? And she's like, I don't know what you mean. Right. She's Sagittarius, no filter. She's not supposed to have a filter, but I sense everything. I could be on the phone with somebody, or I say one thing and I see the shoulders drop and I'm like, wait, what's that? What is that? Can I? And then it's fine.
Right. So but if we don't have the tools to know when to tune into that, when to bring it up, when to we notice those things, but that person may not know that they're revealing that to you. And they may not even need to reveal that to you. Like if they're irritated with you or something, you can sense and feel that they're irritated with you, but it's not your responsibility. And they may not have even said anything to you. If you hadn't said anything to them, they would have resolved it themselves. But because we sense it, it's like we have to bring it to the light. We have to, because we're afraid of it. We're afraid of it hiding in the shadows of that person because of abuse in the past, when it was dumped on us and when it was projected at us. So what it does is create this hyper sensitive state of mind. And for a lot of us who are intuitives, we will eventually use that as part of our purpose. It serves me so much in my sessions with people who come to me because they're asking for the help. But I had to learn over time to not use that gift when people are not asking for it or asking for the help or willing to open up to what it is that we're sensing or whatever. It's like we're trying to get out of them what we're sensing in order to validate us to say, did I sense that from them? Because if so, I need to protect myself a little bit. And just learning how to command our space, our energy body. Just because you sense that does not mean that you need to protect yourself in a certain way or to allow yourself to continue to tune into that. Letting it go. We weren't given the right tools to understand when to use it, when not to use it. We just are always on hyper alert. So I feel like that's the phase that we're in right now, is discernment when it comes to what we allow ourselves to continue to tune into and give our energy to, because inevitably we just end up drained and exhausted from life, from everyday life experience. I'm having deja vu as we're talking about this right now, because you sense this from everyone and everything around you, everything.
Yeah, they're all carrying that. They're carrying that energy that we can't help but tune in, right?
Yeah. No, we can't, but we can intentionally tune out.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's important.
And we almost have to.
Yeah.
There are a lot of healers and a lot of mystics and a lot of guides and teachers on this channel. And so many of you will be best served to take that advice and learn how to manage your energy field and tune out intentionally. That is not my business. The fact that he's irritated, the fact that he's reacting, the way that I protect myself is not going into survival mode, which is what my body is used to. Oh God, there it goes again. There it goes again. Oh my God, it's gonna like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's having that presence of mind and body and spirit to recognize that that's happening with him and realize, oh, that's not about me. That's his. I'm just not going to tune into that. Nope.
Yeah.
That's yours.
Be right over here.
Because otherwise what we're doing is processing it for them. They're not doing the work. We're doing the work.
No, then they don't grow. And then we're drained and exhausted.
And we just attract more and more people to us who don't do the work. Don't do the inner work. They just project, because we take it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have some cards there. I see you're holding them. Are you getting any?
Well,
we talked about the Star card and the Hermit card so far. I feel like those are really appropriate.
Which is funny because I don't have my tarot cards out right now. It's just this bottom one on the bottom, transformation.
Nice. I love that.
Had a lot about the Phoenix lately too. A fresh new way of living energies, which is exactly what I was just talking about. A fresh new way of living your own energy and your own life and interacting with your life. Instead of, it's like we've been in survival mode of our own life the way that we have set it up. I'm trying to survive every single day. And it's because of this overwhelm in our energy field as empaths who are in this hypervigilant state all the time. And right now we're on this path of learning how to turn it on, turn it off, tune in, tune out, and when to do that, and really where to saturate our energy and commit our energy, because it's got to be part of our purpose. It's got to be part of our purpose. I don't want to tune into people's energies and mention it or bring attention to it or point it out. Like, what was that face? Or like, what was that all about? If they're not asking for my help or they're not asking to be witnessed, because it just fucking drains me. If I don't sense that it's gonna do them any good or me, that's the lesson that I've been learning, because it takes away from me being able to draw in the people who I'm supposed to be helping. And so there's lack, there's not enough purpose-driven work for me. I'm not able to focus on my business enough. Why is that? Because I'm not good enough? No, it's because I'm putting my energy into all these places and all these things that I'm sensing, like all willy-nilly, all over the place all the time, that are not part of my purpose. And it's so funny that your business name is Purpose Driven Astrology, because your reading is really what helped to align me with, all right, purpose. Let's focus on the purpose.
Purpose, yeah. And that came to me while moving through my training in the astrology school and moving through level 1, 2, 3, full immersion weekend, Saturn, because anybody who studies astrology will learn that Saturn is the timekeeper.
Yeah.
And he really shows up to say, have you learned your lesson yet?
Right.
If not, let's have another cycle.
Oh, that's funny.
We'll maybe make it show up in a different way slightly, maybe tweak it a little bit, but the theme is still there, right? So
Yeah, that's so
do
funny.
you feel it yet? Do you feel the tension? Because Saturn is always either at a square, so some tension off to the side of your table or at a square table. He's either always at a square or he's in opposition from where he was when you were born.
Right.
And when Saturn finally shows up, he's like the principal at the high school and you're at your locker and the principal shows up and is like, hey, I know you're not big on those oral book reports,
Right.
But are you ready? And you're like, heck yeah,
Right.
I did my work. And they're like,
Right.
oh,
right.
Nice job.
Right.
Let's get your reward because you've done the work. And
Yeah.
so in studying my chart, Saturn for me falls in the sign of Cancer, which is home and family and the mother.
Yeah.
And I had to show up for my family, even though when I was a kid, I didn't have that support. My dad wasn't around. My mom was busy trying to take care of us, in the way that she knew how.
Mine too.
And when it came time, when my father needed me, I was there.
Yeah.
And that's family. And moving through that and working with my mentor, I realized that Saturn was supporting me. And then I did the work. And so now I'm able to move forward and continue learning and growing. I felt validated by I just had this really strong pull that I had to be there for my dad. It didn't matter that we were estranged for years. I didn't know him until I was 14. And even then, how much can you learn about your parent in one summer? Right.
Right.
So,
yeah, that makes so much sense. And I resonate. Yeah. So that's my story too, really.
Yeah. So Saturn was, I really felt like I was living my purpose. Like I'm finally on the journey of exploration and self-discovery and higher learning, astrology, spirituality, and that Saturn is supporting me along the way. So that's my purpose.
That's so interesting. So when you said that Saturn is the timekeeper and there's this square or an opposition and is there to show you your lessons over and over again. I feel like that is my relationship with my ex, like I was talking about. There's constantly this opposition. There's always this versus where him versus me versus him. And that's kind of what he presents is that's the dynamic is this opposition. And the timekeeper thing, he has always had this thing about time. Being on time is half an hour early. And really, really rigid and so much that it creates a visceral reaction in him, this connection to time and respecting and understanding time and his schedule and stuff like that. So it's that kind of connection is really funny. It's almost like he's representing Saturn energy that is
restrictive
lessons.
It's restrictive. Saturn is either going to restrict you and make you look at it some more, or he's going to allow you to move forward without restriction when it's finally in a blessed energy. When you've finally done the work, the tension goes away when you have that awareness. Yeah. So Saturn is naturally restrictive, and time is it's not real.
Time is restrictive.
But it's what we use, right, to move through our day, to manage our schedules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody told me one time that Saturn rules my chart. What does it mean when a planet rules your chart?
So you can look at more like a dispositor of a chart, which is you look at the theme, so if your sun is in one house or sign, and then you look at what sign or what planet rules that particular sign or that house, and you just kind of work your way through and you find the actual chart ruler. So I can look at that for you.
Okay.
I didn't look at that for your reading, but I love that it comes up because it gives me something else to research and explore.
Yeah, it just reminded me about that. That one other person that did a reading for me told me that. So there was a couple of things that when I was meditating ahead of time, when I was kind of asking about this new moon and what we were going to be talking about in connection with it, one of the messages that I got is that where you are, your physical location, was meant to provide a new opportunity for you. And I'm looking at where I moved, and I moved here during quarantine, which was another opportunity for us to go like very, very deep within. Yes. And it's like this location where I moved in the middle of all of that was meant to take me deep within, to show me the ways that I was not creating opportunities in my life by not consciously manifesting. The opportunities that I was manifesting for myself were coming from a subconscious place. And so I was manifesting these opportunities that would help show me how I wasn't good enough. So it was this opportunity to see what's wrong with me and what's wrong with me here. And it's not always a bad thing to look at your shadow. I had the opportunity to look at many, many, many shadows during this last couple of years.
Yeah. For healing.
For healing, yes. But what it did was all I could look at was the shadow. I wasn't in a place of consciously creating, consciously looking for the light in me. Those shadows were the reasons why I had a hard time finding the light in me.
Yeah. Sometimes it can feel really overwhelming, to be faced with so much.
Yeah. But now, and since I've moved here into this house, I'm just like, have never connected with the land, never connected with the house itself. And I'm just like, why am I here? Why? I've been saying it since I moved here. Why am I here? And so they're just wanting us to co-create, to recognize a conscious co-creation, because the universe is trying to create with you. They're trying. And so if you're not consciously creating something, you are subconsciously creating it, and the universe is getting in alignment with it. And that stuff may not look so good to you right now. Yeah. So it's a time for really deciding what your goals are, what your dreams are, and consciously creating with the universe, because it's like it's waiting out there for you. It's like, it's a new moon. Let's go. What are we doing? What are we doing here? And creating that action. So also looking at what started with you at the beginning of quarantine. What kind of pattern started with you in quarantine? Because there's an opportunity that you've been dreaming of, that you didn't allow yourself to dream of back in the beginning. And so you've been looking at shadows that have held you back from allowing yourself to dream bigger and believe that you deserve whatever it is. We had to go into this place of isolation to remove our thoughts, because our thoughts and the way that we were subconsciously and these limiting beliefs that we're telling ourselves were creating the world around us in order to come back. And it was, we had to physically be separated in order to really witness why we separate ourselves from our source, from our ability to connect in with a higher power and create our own lives. And now we're at the point where it's like, okay, we don't need to look at isolation anymore. We've seen all the places that we isolate ourselves. And now, again, it's time to come into partnership, like real, purposeful partnership, and to allow that, because it reflects our partnership with the universe.
It's the allowing that sometimes we struggle with, because because of the past, right? Because of those shadows. At least I feel that, right? So, I need to I've looked at my shadows, but I'm ready to move out of that, right. And just allow, so that I can not be, I don't want to be stuck. Nobody wants to be stuck, right? Right.
We've spent so much time looking at our shadows, but it's like we don't have the balance. We're still out of balance. Why? Because we don't take the time. We don't realize that healing doesn't involve just looking at shadows. It involves looking at our light, finding our light, focusing on our light. So every time we find a shadow or are focused on the shadow, we have to have that equal and opposite force, that balancing, the yin and the yang, and turn and consciously look for the light. Yes. Not just allow the light to hit you. And it's just there it is. Obviously, that's easier for us, but consciously looking for it too. That's healing. That's healing in itself. Like I said, it's really hard to point out the things about you that you love, or that are beautiful or that you're proud of, or those shadows. There were a lot of shadows that were there that were stopping us from consciously looking for the light within us. So now we need to do that. We need to start doing that. Otherwise, all we do is just draw in the energy of that these shadows are showing us, and our thoughts get stuck in those shadows, and in those shadows, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Healing becomes all about what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Instead of what's right about me? What is so beautiful about me? What is so beautiful about me? Lots. Where is that?
We are deserving
to
move forward. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So add that to my journal real quick. I'm going to add what's right about me. What are the positive, say 3, when I wake up in the morning, say 3 positive things about myself. Or
what are you proud of? What are you proud of? What are you proud of? Because so many of us are used to looking at what we've manifested in the life that we have and looking into things that we don't have, or the things that hurt us, or the money that we don't have, and then trying to come from that place and doing it because of this lack that we see there. We can't do it because we feel a lack, and it's never going to be magnetized to us because we're focused on a lack. It's only going to come to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the abundance is only going to come to us from an abundant place. So if we're not able to focus in on the really beautiful aspects of us and who we are and what our life is showing us, our life is trying to show us all the beauty if we allow ourselves to connect with it. But it's so much easier to connect with the shadow. It feels so much better to connect with the shadow instead. And so I've started focusing on what I'm proud of when it comes to me, what I'm grateful for, what I'm proud of when it comes to me. Because not only is this manifestation right now, this very moment, showing me how I can grow and maybe what I need to do in order to grow, what I need to release in order to grow. It's also showing me what I've already released in order to grow into this space. I have chills. I'm the manifestation right now of something that I asked for how long ago?
Right.
If I am not proud of this space right now, the sacrifices and the healing that version of me did, and the things that she asked for are in vain. And I just repeat what she did already. I'm just exhausting her.
You see this? This heart connection here. You got my eyes going. I love it.
What part of that gets you?
It's acknowledging that
how far you've come.
Yeah. I never slow down long enough to just sit and be present in my body to go, look at all that shit you just went through.
Right.
Look at all that minutia that you actually traveled through, and you didn't sit in it to be a victim.
Right.
You moved through it to share those experiences with other people because they also need you, and you came out the other side victorious, your face still up to the sun, up to the moon, appreciative and grateful and full of grace of where you've been. Being able to connect with people. So I can't help, my eyes are leaking, but it's just everything you said, being proud of yourself, trusting that, normally I'd be in the shadow. I love being in support of people. It's my nature to hold that space for people. I'm not only an astrologer and have a day job in healthcare, but I've also worked as a doula, helping support parents and families through labor and delivery, and just being able to have that privilege of holding that space for them, that comes so natural to me. Again, thanks to my Cancer placement. But being able to show it for myself and acknowledge that too is, it's really important. And to see how far I have come, I'm kind of stumbling over my words right now, trying to open that voice up, but I'm trusting that I am exactly where I'm meant to be.
Exactly.
And when I get a little bit, feeling it kind of tingle up, I'm trusting that heart connection, and then your words speak back to me. So my senses, and then I can't help it.
It takes over.
Yeah.
It takes over because that's your authentic self. That's you. And trusting that and allowing yourself to leak through your eyes is so vulnerable in some other people's eyes. But you can't, when you can't even hold it back, it's just the truth of you and where you are in that moment. And in that moment, your human body is purging and cleansing and coming to a realization of something that was sitting right there that it's time to let go of. It's like you just let go of it. We just witnessed you letting go.
And I'm facing the light.
Yeah.
I'm normally I'd be in the shadow, right? Again, holding for people, but I'm facing the sun, fully ready to step into it, just as we said.
Yes. Yeah. If we don't recognize how far we've come, our lives we're students of life. I mean, we're meant to take our experience. We've gone through the exact experience that we've gone through as part of our purpose. And if we're ready to step into our purpose, we have to be able to share and be proud of the journey that we've been through and stop carrying around the shame of who we've been or what we've been through or the heaviness of it. It was heavy for a reason. We signed up for that because of the amount of resilience that we were meant to come out the other side with. And it's time for that. It's time to show that resilience. And what I've realized is that I hold myself back, or I don't post videos. I don't share the things that I'm going through out of some kind of shame or feeling like I'm not far enough ahead or I don't have my shit together. And it only gets worse. It only gets worse. It only gets worse if I'm not sharing myself. Because part of my purpose and part of the reason that I went through the things that I've gone through and continue to go through is to share that and witness it from a higher perspective and share that here so that people don't feel alone, so that they're activated into their authentic self. Any time that I don't share myself, it's like I abandon who I was and what I went through. It's like I'm ashamed of her and I don't share it. And I feel like I've come to the other side of that. And I just need to keep showing up and showing up and showing up because it's part of my purpose. So I'm so proud of even just sitting right here in this moment right now, especially because you helped me get through this, it was a major barrier, whatever it was. And I think it had to do with mothering. I think it had to do with a lot of mother guilt and mother shame. That's when you really got me in the reading, was when you were talking about my kids and how proud I should be of myself and how any decision that I make is going to be the right decision because I love them the way that I love them and I'm supposed to be their mother. And
Great.
Like I released my mother guilt and it opened up the floodgates. So the new moon is drawing all of this out of us.
We just
it's
have
helping
to
us.
it.
Huh?
We have to allow it.
Yeah. I heard too that the new moon is about minute details, like really focusing in on the details. And we're able to see more of the details now because the sky is dark, because the world is kind of dark right now. But we're able to see all of these little details that, first of all, need to be changed. And then focus on our fear of change.
Right.
This colossal fear of change. And in order to shift, it's really getting in order a lot of minute details.
Right. Like you had said, when the moon is dark, the stars are brighter.
Yeah.
So seeing those finer details of the sky that we're not normally able to see. And even from the light pollution that's out there, we don't see everything as clearly. So spending that time going inward helps us.
Yeah. Okay. As you say that, what I'm seeing is like the stars. I'm seeing just like constellations everywhere, but there's something in the stars that you can see right now that you don't normally, that it's like a connection that you don't normally make. And what I'm seeing for you is there's something in the stars, in the charts, in something going on right now in astrology that it's almost like a deeper part of your gift is opening up. Something in the stars that you're not normally able to see in the chart, that's becoming clearer for you in some way. And it may be something about my chart that you didn't see before, that you're meant to focus in on now. There's something in the stars that you didn't see before. And it's like I'm literally seeing the chart. Like you weren't able to before. Your gift hadn't expanded that much.
I'm going to have to look. What is that?
This is the 10 of Wands. This is about laying down burdens.
It's very timely.
Yeah. Laying down the burdens of the weight of other people's making decisions and doing things according to what other people want, or, you know, the way that they want you to do things. Like wands are about action and movement. And it's like putting down the burden of doing things the way other people do things.
Yeah.
You as an astrologer, you are going to do things much differently than a lot of them do.
And you helped me with that because we first stepped on camera just to get acquainted because we didn't know each other.
Yeah. Except
via email before our reading and my little digital gift card. So we spent a few minutes.
Magical.
That actually is the Libra of me. So I'm a Taurus sun, a Pisces moon. That's my deep feeling and my emotions. That's my emotional body. And I'm a Libra rising. So the creative and balance and harmony and the artistic side of me. So doing that was just like, it just lit me up really. But when we got on camera, you're like, no, I think I manifested this. Like we're supposed to see each other. So let's just
because you wanted to connect us through phone or something.
Right. That's kind of how we, well, most readings are timed. I didn't put a time limit on us. I kind of put it out there initially, but
welcome to my world.
And then being on camera. But I loved being able to see you, and I think it helped to ground us and our connection.
Yeah.
So I was comfortable doing that. But you had also said that the people who follow you or people who might need messages from me would also want the same. So showing up differently.
Yes. They need the visual aspect of that. Yes. And there's a lot of people that follow my channel that sometimes I'll read the cards and I'll just have the camera on the cards, but there's sometimes where I have to be on camera too. And there's some people that are just affected by seeing me, just by having me mirror whatever it is to them. Like they need to see me, they need to see my face.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's kind of part of what your presentation is for them and in the way that they're able to absorb it. And I also needed to be on camera in order to see the chart. I'm such a visual person. To see the chart if I needed to see the chart, because sometimes the way that you say it doesn't, that's why I use cards sometimes. I don't need the cards, but there are sometimes people who absorb the message differently if I show them the card. So there's sometimes where I need to see the chart to know what you're talking about. So I feel like almost like maybe let's pull up my chart on there because there's something in it that, like I said, you either hadn't noticed before or you're able to notice now in a different way, accessing these emotions, like whatever you just released, opened up space for you to look at something from a little bit of a higher consciousness when it comes to my chart. That's what I'm getting.
Okay. I also want to follow up when we're not on camera to take a look at the whole location thing for you, because I feel like
I would love that.
That's something we can look at.
I would love that.
It would be new for me, but also I'm always growing and learning. So
the physical location itself.
All right.
We had also talked about Mars and Gemini. So I don't know if maybe it has something to do with that, but I'll let you kind of tune into what you're thinking for that. I'm having so much deja vu right now too. Like I've had 3 different instances of deja vu in this video. So
you need to speak them as they come up.
Well, this one was brief. This one was just me looking at this paper, and on the paper it says using astrology for validation, which is a note that I took while you were talking, and North Node. So maybe it's something about my North Node. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going back.
And then as soon as I put the paper down, that's when the deja vu stopped.
So, I mean, I don't normally look at transits on the North Node, but I can see that Mercury is pretty much, Mercury's up here.
Okay.
This is your North Node in Libra. So this is like your mind connecting. We've been talking about it. We've been spending time looking at, we've been conversing about partnership.
Yeah.
So it seems really time. It's a current transit. Karen, your sun is over here it's in Gemini, and it's in the 6th house, which is the house of Virgo, which is naturally ruled by Mercury. And your Mercury is here as well, which is also in Gemini. So Mercury is in both signs.
So there's a lot of Mercury going on right now.
You got a lot of mental space going on here, babe.
Okay, I was going to ask you, what is Mercury? Can you just describe Mercury to me?
Yeah. So you see how it looks like it has these little antennae here? So we just kind of look at that as like, that's your mind. Mercury is your mind. It's air. It's naturally home in Gemini. It's quick, a rapid movement of mind. Air moves very quickly, witty. It's about communication. So there's a lot of rapid communication going on for you right now. And we're talking also about partnership, and you have all these different aspects going on with you, collaborating, trying to collaborate and work with your former spouse as things are changing there. We're connecting in partnership. This is your natural placement too. It's also rules Virgo. We're on the Virgo New Moon. And then we have Mars. And Mars is, you can see, just moved into Gemini here. But for you, it's in the 5th house. So Mars is in Gemini, is lighting up about your creation. And it's also, this is the house of Leo. It's ruled by the sun. It's having a childlike mind. It's seeing things with a fresh perspective. It's creating things. Have you felt a shift in there? Have you felt that aspect of you being lit up?
In my mind?
Right. So with
my 5th house,
with your 5th house taking action, with Mars having moved in there, but it's also in Gemini. So part of your mind, but in thinking about different ways you might do something with your creativity, or finding a different creative.
Yes. It's been so much recently about being in a creative energy and feeling uncomfortable outside of it. Like if I'm not creating, it's like this desire to create so much more too. And not just in ways that I would have thought before. It's funny that you say in childlike ways too, because I feel like I live vicariously through my kids sometimes, or I just witness myself through my kids. And I've been doing this massive creative project with my oldest daughter for the last 2.5 weeks that she's submitting for a 4-H project. And I was so into it because it was such a creative process. Like it was almost like it was healing for me. I was expressing myself. And it was an amazing partnership that I had going on with her too, in this creative way. So I feel the pull to that. I feel the draw to that. And also wanting to create in this way too, like creating something when it comes to a business, when it comes to my life, when it comes to money, like creating the presence of that now. It's like creating a whole new aspect of myself. And I feel like so much of it is coming from the mind, the Mercury stuff that you're talking about, because I feel like I've come into this awareness of my brain and my mind, my ADD brain, and how proud I am of the way that I put things together and the way that I piece things together. But the way that when it's not managed, it becomes a disorder because my thoughts and my brain take over. Right, and I've learned some techniques recently, and things have just clicked into place in a way that I'm able to witness my thoughts and separate from them, and to understand when I'm in a certain level of consciousness, I'm in my higher consciousness, witnessing Karen and Karen's life and Karen's thoughts. And it's helped me to recognize when Karen is creating things out of her ego and out of fear and out of survival mode or whatever it is. And when I am creating, or I'm guiding her to create from this space, from this conscious place. Yeah. Like I'm witnessing my mind and my thoughts in a totally different way. And it's helping me to create flow and to have more fun with it, like that childlike
Yes.
energy that you're talking about.
Yeah. And you said, seeing things through your children's eyes, we're supposed to do that because it brings a whole new perspective to our daily lives. We could get stuck in the shadow, but if we turn towards the sun, the ruler of Leo, the ruler of children, there's an innocence there, and there's playfulness and creativity. And that's just something that if we can embrace that in ourselves, even when we're grown up and have to kind of do the adult thing, it just brings a fresh perspective to our daily lives. And I love that you have all this Mercury. So how do you help? I know we talked about it recently, but I did send you a meditation for air to help you with this. And it felt like it was timely because I was getting messages, we were emailing, and you were telling me that you felt like you were flying, which is great, right? All that air going on. But then maybe you needed to ground some of that too.
Yeah. And so I haven't done that air meditation yet. I did the earth meditation that you sent me, which was really amazing. The air one, the way that I see it right now is that I've had so much going on since that day. And there's been so much about like mastering my thoughts and witnessing how much time, talking about the timekeeper, how much time I waste by being caught in my thoughts and allowing them or being stuck in the Karen experience, fully immersed in when my brain has taken over. And I don't have the presence of mind or the peace of mind or whatever it is to it's like I try to think my way out of it, or I try to figure my way out of it, or I try to use the tools that I had used before, and didn't even think to go to a meditation that would be connected to air. So it's like evidence of how mastering the mind is part of the experience that I'm meant to go through in order to translate that, in order to pass that on to people too. And so I feel like I'm in the midst of that right now.
Yeah, it feels like you are too. Just a lot of Mercury. And you have such a beautiful chart. Get all the stuff that was like above the horizon when you were born.
No one ever told me that before. Thank you. I've been working out.
Yes, it's a beautiful chart. Yeah.
What makes it beautiful? Why do you say that? What does that mean?
So if we look at the chart, you see this horizon line here.
Yeah.
And this is what was on the horizon when you were born.
Yeah.
And all about your sun and Mercury, granted Chiron's down here in Taurus, but all of these planets were above the horizon. So it's like everything was seen.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. Is that why I'm such a strong seer?
Maybe. I mean, I would want you to feel into that, but I feel like all the stuff was above, right? Everything was above the horizon. Your Mercury had just gone below the horizon.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but everything else was above. And so it's just all this stuff up there. So when the sky is dark, I want you to just go out there and just be like, this is my chart. Everything is beautiful. It's all above the horizon.
Right. Yeah. Right. Oh, wow. So when you said, so the Mercury was just below the horizon, everything else I could see, but it's almost like the things that are being revealed about my mind now, because Mercury is transiting up there, like you said.
Yeah.
I'm able to see things about my mind that I wasn't able to see previously. It's almost like I've stepped past that horizon line in my life, where now I'm able to see the effect that my mind and my thoughts have had on creating my life. It's like it's come into view now with this transit, like you're talking about.
Yeah, I feel like that the message that they gave you about being able to see, now we've seen it. You just kind of brought that full circle.
Yeah. Okay. That's really amazing. I love that so much. Okay. There's something else that came up when you were talking about that, but now I forget. The Temperance card came out, which right now I'm seeing alchemy. Sometimes it has to do with patience as things alchemize, but I see the ways my wheels turn, and sometimes it's too much waiting. too much patience or too much waiting for the universe to create, or it's like not taking an active role in co-creating. It's like, I'm waiting. I'm just waiting for another sign. I'm waiting for another sign. I'm waiting to feel confident about it. I'm waiting. And it's like the universe is saying it's time to put down whatever blocks you from, whatever burdens block you from creating your own action, doing things the way that you do things versus the way other people have told you should do things. Or this is the path, or this is the track that you're supposed to follow in life. You're supposed to go to college. You're supposed to get a job. You're supposed to have babies. You're supposed to get married first. But take away that baby. You're supposed to get married first and then have babies, and like that. The old template, I think.
Yeah.
But I've been sitting around waiting for my life to happen.
Mars wants you to take action. So, yeah.
Let's talk about Mars and Gemini.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have a lot. I mean, so Virgo is a mutable. So the mutable signs are going to feel this new moon more likely than others.
What does mutable mean?
Mutable is going with the flow. So we've got cardinal energy, which is initiating. We've got fixed energy, which is holding. And mutable, when I think of mutable, I think of Pisces. It's just the easiest one for me because it's in water. It's in the element of water, and fish just kind of swim and go, right? But also your mind can it can change, especially Gemini being ruled by Mercury is quick to change, right? It's that communication and the wit and the thoughts with all that air. So mutable signs that would feel the new moon more would be Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, because everything is moving so quickly. And then with Mars being there, again, Mars is the natural ruler of Aries, which is cardinal fire energy. And it just wants to show up in that fire and feeling all that pressure, that anxiety, or those fears that build up, build. And then Gemini saying, I got to express and communicate. And Mars just pushing you a little bit further to say, spout it out. And you just have to have that awareness of mind that we talked about before to find a way to release the pressure valve. I'm getting a pressure cooker right now, just slowly dropping the pressure so that you don't combust with that Mars energy being fed by the air of Gemini.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Fire and air, you can have a rapid wildfire and you can burn everything to the ground. So it's really important to find a way to just slowly release the pressure, or at least be aware that that's something that's going to come up.
Right.
Yeah.
That's temperance. That's finding the right balance there. That's definitely temperance. And because fire also needs air.
It does. Yeah.
But it can become too much. It really is all about that balance. And yes. So what I'm seeing too is what I was talking about earlier about sensing everything and everyone and being able to read deeply everyone.
Yes.
That can almost become that pressure cooker too, because what you're experiencing and what your energy is connecting with is too much for your human body sometimes when you're tuned into all of it.
Right.
And so it really is about tempering. And you do that with your conscious thought, with creating, deciding what you're going to tune into, or with self-awareness that I'm tuned into a little bit too much right now, and this is exhausting me, or this area of my life is draining me, or whatever it is. So I need to pull back a little bit, and consciously deciding to do that. Tempering. Just because it's there and you can read it doesn't necessarily mean that you should.
Right. I tell my kids that a lot. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
So.
Right. That's where the discernment recently has been coming in a lot. And I feel like the new moon is teaching us about discernment, really discerning, recognizing the things that we've already healed, and deciding to focus on the positive aspect of the situation. So it feels to me like new situations are going to come up. It's the same situation as before, but you're being shown the positive about it. So it may elicit feelings like if you're remembering some sort of instance from the past. I'm seeing divorce. When you think about it, it elicits fear, sadness, whatever the experience was that you went through, and feeding that with positive and really witnessing the positive that came out of that, though, because and yourself is part of that, witnessing where you are now as a result of that, though, in a beautiful way, but I'm so much freer now, and I'm away from the toxic alchemy that was there. Yes. And because of that, I'm able to do the things that I'm doing, or be who I am, or to help people who are going through what they're going through, and witnessing the positive aspects of that by not allowing our thoughts to control our emotions. It's the old thoughts that are programmed there. We have old thoughts and beliefs about our role in that, thinking it was all our fault, or I wasn't worthy, or, whatever you were programmed about. And maybe they projected a lot of stuff at you. They projected and they said all of these things about you, and you believed them. And so you have these old beliefs about why that happened, and there's guilt involved. I'm seeing mom guilt again, connected to what my kids went through when we went through a divorce and stuff, and turning and feeding that with positivity, feeding that with beauty. And so when that situation comes back up again, it's not another divorce. It's a memory of that divorce, or it's like another level of court that you have to go through, or even another job. Like there was a job in the past that was that same kind of energy. You got fired or something like that.
Yeah.
And the situation, it's like the same boss, the same thing is coming up, in order for you to react in a different way, in a conscious way, and to recognize the beauty of this lesson or this situation and how it is there to serve you. As bad as it may feel, it feels bad because of the ripple memory of the past and what the past is telling you. It's not the same thing, though. It looks the same, but that's an illusion. Your brain is playing tricks on you.
Yeah, it's just an echo.
Yes, but it's also an opportunity.
Yeah.
So then we were talking about this opportunity for another level of healing. And the healing this time does not involve finding your shadow and healing your shadow. It involves healing your light by tuning into it, by recognizing it, by being aware of it. I'm hearing fear of success again. Fear of success. So what was it in my chart that you were meant to notice? I think that it was the Mercury.
I think that's what it was.
I feel like
I don't normally look at transits. I mean, we didn't look at transits before.
Yeah.
We looked at progression. We looked at your progressed moon and where that is, which is different than this screen shows.
Right. Right. But the progression, no, not the progression. The transit is what's happening right now, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So the birth chart is all about looking back and studying yourself and who you were born to be, right, and what was going on then.
Yep. And no mistakes. You're exactly who you're meant to be, right? You're exactly who you're meant to be. And the experiences allow us to gain the awareness. That's really what I'm pointing out to people, is that there are no mistakes.
Right.
God didn't make any mistakes when they made you. You showed up just as you were meant to be. And as we'd said before, we show up for those experiences. We made them. We asked for them so we can move through them, gain the experience in this lifetime, and share that with other people as we evolve on our journey. We're helping them evolve when they're ready, when they're asking for that help.
Yeah. That's another theme that I've heard in the last couple of days, and what I've been telling people is you're exactly where you need to be. You're exactly where you need to be. And so these transits are showing us, well, where is it that I am right now? Witnessing and bringing yourself into this present moment and being aware of where you are. Some people are not aware of where they are because they've been in survival mode for so long, or healing mode for so long. They're taking themselves out of the present moment and the beauty of the present moment, especially if it feels a little bad right now. If there's a denser energy that's going on, you're exactly where you need to be. And a lot of times it's because of what's transiting right now, in order to bring you into the present moment. So I'm feeling like the transits are super important right now.
Yeah, it feels really important, especially for you. I mean, looking at your chart, it feels like it's significant.
So the Mercury. Now, for people who, like, obviously no one else has the exact same chart as me.
Right.
Do you feel like for other people where Mercury is in their chart is really important right now too?
I feel like Mercury, yes, because Mars is in Gemini, so it would show up for you there, but also just taking a look at where is Virgo in your chart? Where is, I would look at Virgo in your chart to see where that's at. I would look at Mars because Mars is taking that action, especially during this new moon for the weekend.
Okay.
Gemini, Mars. Yeah, Mars and Gemini. I would look at that. And it's at 4 degrees. So let's see.
What is Mars?
Yeah, Mars is, well, no. So the Virgo new moon is at 4 degrees and it's a mutable earth. So it's a, it's that earth element, but it's mutable. It goes with the flow.
Yeah.
So,
okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Sometimes earth feels too heavy for me. It feels too grounded. It feels too stuck in place. It feels too rooted.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's rooted for you because it's in your 4th house. This is house of home and family. This is ruled by the mother.
Yeah.
That's here.
Yeah.
So that could be where you feel it is rooted, right? But you have all this beautiful air in your chart to help you get out of that so you don't feel stuck or heavy. But when things do get tense or a little too in your thoughts, you can get outside, get in nature, put your feet on the ground and feel connected again.
Yeah, it always helps. It does always help.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is that I work from my house and I'm in my home a lot. So when you speak of earth, and especially the fact that it's, in my 4th house, which is like the house of home, earth as our home. Right. But I'm kind of sometimes not necessarily stuck, but in the house too much. And so my home becomes this artificial structure. And I don't get enough of my actual home, the earth and nature and things like that. Our feet were not meant to come into contact with shoes or socks or this carpet or on a regular basis. And sometimes that's what I have 12 hours out of the day.
Yeah.
So I'm noticing my resistance to my literal home because I'm not getting enough of my actual home.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Okay.
I can feel that for sure.
Okay, so when you say Mars is in Gemini, Mars is asking Gemini, because Mars wants to create action, Mars is asking Gemini to create action, to like really be itself. And Gemini is a communicator. Gemini is a twin also, I feel. And so maybe even a kind of a like partnership kind of thing.
Yeah. So Mars wants to take action. So it's attention seeking. And so it wants to be fed by the air. So it wants to move in, maybe create some tension, wreak havoc somewhere. And during this time, we can become impatient, emotionally explosive. That emotional aspect is the moon. So we can become emotionally explosive and angry. So it's when we feel that pressure building up that we need to make sure that we're able to communicate in the best way possible. So it wants you to express, but we need to be mindful in how we choose to express so that we don't blow it up.
Right. I think that we also need to be aware of how we're expressing outside of just our words. Yeah. Because we express ourselves in many ways other than just words. That we're communicating through energy without realizing that that's what we're communicating. I'm seeing a story from the other day with my daughter, and she was talking about when she's frustrated because when she goes to lead a horse, they're into horses and stuff. Yeah. When she leads this one horse, he pulls away from her. He constantly pulls away from her. He pulls away from her. We were talking about like what that feeling that brings up in her. And she said she gets angry right away. And my other daughter, who knows horses very well, is like, well, horses are very sensitive. They sense that from you. And my youngest was like, well, I'm not acting angry. She said, it doesn't matter. They sense it. Yeah. You're communicating anger through your energy. And she's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm angry. I can't not be. It just comes up like that. And so the horse is going to sense that. She needs to figure out how she can kind of dissipate that anger, or communicate safety anyway. Like, I'm angry, but you're safe.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So I can be upset. I own my container of anger. It's not
Yes.
projecting it out. Right. So
exactly.
Yeah. Soothing the horse along the way, or whatever the scenario might be, just be like, it's okay. I'm
Exactly.
good. Like, just having that energy exchange. I could see that.
Yes. So realizing when you're projecting, that's what I'm hearing too. Yeah. Really taking, like, this is about ownership, really owning. A lot of times anger is connected to guilt or frustration or something, shame, or something about ourselves that we're,
or even feeling misunderstood, right? People can get angry if, you feel misunderstood, that communication didn't come out the way you wanted it to, or you stumbled upon your words.
Right.
And, and then we feel what the other person may have accepted from us wasn't what we really wanted to say, or what it wasn't what we meant.
Right. Or we're not taking the time to actually read their energy too. Or if we do read or sense their energy, we're creating a story around what we're reading that isn't true to the reason that they're in that energy. So my other daughter was telling her that he was probably uncomfortable because he was in a different environment. They had taken him to the stables where he's not used to being. And that's when she was leading him. And my other daughter was like, he's not comfortable there. He's out of place. He's trying to get himself aligned with the other horse that he knows there. And he's not wanting to listen to you. He doesn't trust you because he's scared in general in the first place. Yeah. So you're getting angry at him for being in fear. And it's just, he's wanting to control his environment and you're wanting to control him, but you don't make him feel safe because you're angry. Huh. So their energy.
Yeah. I can feel that building, like as you were talking about it. I feel that.
Yes. And they're communicating energetically to each other the whole time, but she wasn't reading that about him. She's just expecting, this is the horse that they have at their house normally. Right. And so she's expecting him to act the same way as he normally would, but he's out of he's in a different kind of environment. And she, isn't as sensitive to others' energies as my other daughter is. And so she just wasn't putting all of the pieces of the puzzle together. She just kind of shut down because she was wanting to control and lead. And he wasn't wanting to be led by her. He wasn't asking for that. Mm. Yeah. So when she tried to force it, when she corrected him, like they teach her to do, he was just like, nah, fuck you. No.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she wasn't making the effort to read his energy either, or to look outside of the thoughts that she just, kind of gave up on it. So I do feel like all of that is very symbolic to what's happening right now and what you were talking about for this weekend, like emotions really taking you over, and being aware of that and recognizing that sometimes what it is that you're feeling and sensing is an energy from another person. It is. You're sensing their energy, but the way the vibration feels to you is similar to the way a vibration felt in the past, and you applied a story to that, and now you're carrying that forward and trying to apply the story again. And the story that you're applying is out of alignment with the truth of that vibration and with you. Yeah. It's my fault. Whatever. It's my fault. That's what I hear. It's my fault. That's what you said before. The way he's acting that I sense from him is my fault. Because we've taken ownership of their energy. We're being offered that opportunity again to not apply that thought. Just say, no one else's energy is my responsibility. That's on him. This thought is what I need to take responsibility for.
Yeah, I feel like it's really important to know where we end and the other person begins. And that's not only physically, like you said, but also with energy and with our thoughts and how people project. So even, we talk about like a 6-foot rule or kids being in their bubble. But it's also like having that energetic field around us that helps to insulate us a bit so that we're not taking on the other person.
Yeah.
Just being able to sense that.
Yes. boundaries have been a big deal.
Yeah.
Yes. And speaking your truth and speaking your boundaries, but also communicating your boundaries, because there are some times, like I said, we communicate other than words. So how can we communicate our boundaries without saying a word? I think that's something that we need to focus on too.
Yeah. I'm going to have to look at that.
It's about commanding your energy space.
You're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking right I am.
And I am so proud of you. I can't even tell you. I am just incredibly proud of you.
Thank you. I'm proud of me too. I'm really proud of me, because it takes a lot of work to do that. For me, being this person that we talk about being so sensitive.
Yeah.
Boundaries and not absorbing or not taking on other people's energies or taking it personally, or it's been so hard for me, thinking it and overthinking it and understanding what's theirs and what's not mine. And I've just put so much work into fortifying my field and understanding how much of that field is, and taking responsibility for it, taking ownership for it, owning myself again. This field is full of things that I put there with my own thoughts.
Right.
And so much of that is not my fault, because I accepted other people's thoughts. Not, this is fact. People raise you, they tell you their beliefs, and they don't teach you about keeping an open mind and thinking for yourself.
Right. It's almost like they want you to accept their story of what's meant for you.
Yeah. Yes. And so much of my field is filled with limiting beliefs and other people's way of doing things and seeing things that don't align with me. But I just accept them. I just keep hearing willy-nilly. I keep accepting them willy-nilly. And so that vibration that I've accepted is in my field. It's in my field. It's in my field. And it's constantly attracting like vibrations to that. So it attracts this person who thinks that same thing, that it's my fault. It attracts this person that thinks it's my fault. I accepted from somebody a long time ago that it was my fault. Whatever was happening was my fault.
Not anymore. You're taking your power back.
Yep. Yeah, I'm taking my field back. Yeah, and it feels really good without the fire, without so much fire, without the anger, without the rage. Right. I used to try to take my power back through rage.
And that's a sign of growth, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really going to come to light this weekend, honestly. The self-control, the awareness, the difference between self-awareness and not self-awareness.
Right. I was just thinking that, and having none. Yeah.
Yeah. That's this.
Yes. Wait, can they see that very well? Aren't we smaller on the screen?
I think so. Is there anything else in my chart right now that you see that we should bring up that is maybe affecting a lot of people? I mean, there's going to be people who resonate with this, whether, Mercury is in that house in this exact same way or whatever it is, they're going to recognize what the energies that are present. But looking into their own personal chart is really going to go so much deeper. If any of this resonates with you, getting your own chart done, allowing Georgia to read your chart and the transits right now in your chart. It feels like the transits are most important right now. A lot of you have had birth chart readings, and I'm feeling like you need a reading to talk to you about what the transits are doing for you, to you, and with you right now.
Work with it.
Yes.
No, I think the chart is great right now. I think, we talked about yours. We know what's happening this weekend for you on a personal level. And I feel like having that awareness ahead of time, I hope that our talking about it has reduced that level of fear, that initial reaction that you had.
Yeah.
And of course you still have time to process it, right? And to bring it down into your
yes,
your body.
I know exactly what the connection is. So I'm always kind of on the lookout and pointing out limiting beliefs that are subconscious, because once they become conscious, we just freed up so much space to create what we want to create consciously. And I feel like one of those limiting beliefs is it's my fault. It's my fault. I feel like a lot of that mom guilt that we were talking about comes from those words that I have secretly whispered to myself. And accepted from other people and stuff like that. So I feel like when the emotions arise, like we were talking about, things get heated or gets angry or whatever it is because of that limiting belief that says, even just when they get angry, their anger is your fault. It's my fault. It's my fault he's angry. And so now I either need to be defensive and fight back against it, or go into fawn mode and people please, as if it has anything to do with me and that it's my responsibility, because that's how it comes at me. It does come at me as projections and blame. Like literally the words are coming at me that this is your fault, this is your fault, this is your fault. And so there's always this emotional reaction and defensiveness that he actually mirrors to me too, because, that's how he gets too.
Yeah.
So witnessing that limiting belief that says it's my fault. It's like not accepting the situation, like we were talking about from the past. Like this situation happened. Where's the beauty in that situation though? Is it my fault that something went bad? It didn't go bad. The situation then was volatile.
Yeah, it's definitely not your fault, and not accepting his story of the situation, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But I do have a story too from that situation that is not just about the fact that it's not my fault, but it's the fact that it's not his fault either.
Right.
And maybe there's something in me that blames him. So taking that responsibility back, taking that power back, and that projection.
Yeah, because once you take that back, he can't shove it back at you anymore. He can't make you feel the guilt or shame over it.
Right.
Because you can bless it and release it. Two people show up. Two people.
Yes. So the thing that just came through was like when you're in partnership with someone else and they are communicating with you and vocalizing that something that you have done or said is crossing a boundary for them, or it's not in alignment with what they were kind of expecting or wanting or hoping from in order to grow the relationship. I would really love it if next time, and it's not coming from a loving place in that way, but it can. The desire is to change things moving forward. This relationship is meant to, like, can we collaborate even more, even when it's in a difficult situation like this? Normally I want to resist and just be like, no, I'll go do my thing. You go do your thing. But the collaboration, even in difficult relationships, is being called for right now, too. Not just partnership in easy situations, but sometimes we have to partner with the shadow, too. We have to collaborate with the shadow in order to find that balance. And so when they bring that to you, not being defensive about feeling like this is a projection and I have to take it on, but also taking ownership for, okay, yeah, I can see I never looked at it that way. Maybe I can approach it differently next time.
And that's Libra, seeing both sides, finding the balance.
Yeah.
And also sitting at your higher self and looking at Karen's life, right? Both sides, seeing the balance there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when he says anything, or I'm seeing this in like an old boss of mine too, when they say anything, there's this defensiveness that's just like not being able to, not taking criticism, but feeling like I'm not perfect, or what they're saying is a bad thing and it's my fault. And they're saying that it's my fault, when really they're just wanting to adapt, because we do have to shift things. We do have to keep changing things. We have to keep changing them. And that's how we learn, is kind of through mistakes sometimes.
Yeah.
But not being capable of witnessing something that is viewed as a mistake or something that needs to change or shift. restricts change, resists it, and creates like this survival mode, like I'm being attacked, I'm being attacked, I'm being attacked. It's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. So just witnessing that limiting belief, the next time somebody comes to you and says, I don't really love the way it's kind of crossing my boundary just a little bit. Do you think, like, maybe next time, can we try it this way or whatever? Or even in a more aggressive way. Like, you're not doing that to me anymore. Not feeling the shame in that, and really taking ownership of your energy and being able to see it from both sides and witnessing where I do need to shift that a little bit. I'm sorry, that came from a place of, lower consciousness anyway.
Yeah.
That awareness is to see about yourself without the shame involved. And with that, if you witness that limiting belief that says,
oh, was that your sound that went out or mine? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I got you. It just kind of did that pause thing, and then the sound was out, but your hands are moving. So I just want to make sure that.
Oh, it says it said my internet connection was unstable. Oh. So it's when you're acting out of a place of disconnect, when you're disconnected from your heart. Those actions we need to witness. We need to recognize, oh yeah, I was acting from a place of disconnect. That's what it says, was my internet connection was unstable. So it's when you disconnect here that you do things that are from ego. And when people point that out, your ego wants to say, but I'm safe here, but I'm in survival mode. That's where I feel safe. Right?
Right. Yeah.
This card, Cleansing Waters, came out.
Love that.
Purification activates vibrant life force.
Had those purifying tears earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. So you were talking about emotion this weekend too.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like there's going to be some sort of release, some sort of cleansing, and this just giving yourself permission to release it. I'm seeing this too. So almost like when the anger comes up, sometimes it is from repression, suppression of emotion, not letting yourself cry. And sometimes that's how anger needs to be expressed, is getting yourself to a place of being able to cry, like letting yourself. Some people cry when they get angry.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But if they're ashamed of crying, they're going to hold that back.
Yeah.
Right? What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that's your emotional body. So just looking at your natal moon, your birth moon, can really tell you like what element that's in, can really tell you how you would react when you're really upset.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it? Do you need to feel it out? Are you going to, be expressive in your emotions, or are you going to want to take some kind of energy to charge through it,
Yeah. I'm really seeing like sometimes when people get angry, this crying comes up and it frustrates them that they're angry. They don't want to be crying.
Right.
But it's your body trying to cleanse, and it's like water on fire.
Yeah. And too much water can put it out. Too much water can put it out. And I think that that's where the resistance comes from when they're angry, because that's that fire energy wanting to push things forward. But when the tears come, it's like putting the sprinklers with the smoke alarm, just puts it out. And so they lose that power, I think.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Or what they feel is power. Sometimes that anger comes out, and, people only know how to control their environment through angry expression. They only know how to control through anger. Yeah. And so they don't have any cleansing. They don't have any water to temper it. I mean, it is really like, this is fire and water.
Yeah.
It really is about tempering that and allowing the expression of emotion of water in order to temper that anger, in order to communicate the anger properly. When you withhold if you give it just a little bit of water, it creates steam.
Steam is good.
Yeah.
Good in relationships, partnerships.
Yeah.
In all forms, a little bit of steam.
Yeah. So when you were cleansing earlier, when you cry, it's not like they were sobbing, ugly cry tears that became out of control or took you over or whatever. It was just enough to cleanse through whatever emotion came up that was not in alignment with your authentic expression.
And it's almost like tears of gratitude too, like acknowledging and having that awareness of what I've moved through. Yeah. And just being grateful for those experiences and moving forward. But I know that, at least for myself, that when the tears come up, they're meant to, so I accept them. Yeah. But if I look back at where I was a year ago or even 2 years ago, I'd say mostly a year ago, I am so much more aware of my emotional body that I don't let it take me over, because that can be really difficult, especially when doing this type of work with other people. Yeah. So,
and I can see in previous interactions, for me, where I would get so angry, but resist my anger because I have a fear of, especially anger coming at me and stuff, or I would overexpress my anger, and then it would end up in these like just panic attacks and just total, just sobbing for hours. So it was this imbalance between the fire, because I was over expressing it or not expressing it at all. I was afraid of other people's anger. And it would make me cry. So that's a big deal this weekend. So when you're talking about the emotions for this weekend, I think it really is being aware of when anger comes up and learning how to witness it and allow your body to cleanse, like your experience of a vibration, a sensation. No matter what word you put on it, no matter what title or label you put on it, it's not in alignment with your body. It's too much anger. It's too much of this vibration. It's out of alignment with your body. So there's something that your body is naturally wanting to do to help to balance that. Just being aware of it, and before you react, before Mars pushes you to that action and to communicate exactly what's going on right then. If you're triggered, you're in survival mode. Your heart is shut down.
Yeah. And I would say, as far as communicating, I mean, you could just be alone too, right? You could be alone in your thoughts. You could be looking at your own stuff and get upset. But somebody said to me recently, if you're not listening, you're not learning. Yeah. So, if somebody is going to communicate, just try to hear what they're saying before, and don't own it. Don't take it on.
Yeah, for sure. To see that other perspective. But it's witnessing too, like what your thoughts are saying to you, what your thoughts are communicating to you.
Yes.
All right. Anything else?
I don't know. I think we've done a really good job. Feelings are personal this weekend. I just, I'm gonna be taking this all in for several hours. Like I'm just gonna be feeling it.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And I feel like that's kind of a message for everybody too, is just recognizing that it does take you a little bit of time to integrate things. Yeah. And so I'm just seeing like a client of mine the other day, I had a really powerful session, and then, things start to flow. When you release things, it opens up this space for higher vibrational stuff, and maybe things start to flow. You just need to give it some time to really integrate and sit back and listen for the guidance to come through. Sometimes we clear up blockages and the guidance is just like knocks you in the face, but then your brain tries to kick in again and figure things out and like, what decisions should I make? Just giving it some time and sitting back and listening. And I feel like that's what this weekend is going to be. There's going to be a lot there. Listening for the details, for like minute details that you may have been missing. There's some guidance there that is going to help you to make certain decisions and create movement in your life, I think.
And I think that what I didn't mention earlier is that people may have been feeling this movement of this building up to the new moon 2 to 3 days beforehand, and you can still feel it 2 to 3 days afterwards. As we integrate that. So,
yeah. Okay. I feel like we need to come back on here again too, and feel like there's something coming up in September that is almost like a forecast. Maybe we need to do some kind of forecast for whatever we're noticing about September. There's something specifically I'm feeling like there's some kind of detail about September.
Okay.
I just heard September 11th. So maybe we need to kind of look at that ahead of time.
Yeah, that'd
and
be
give
good.
a little bit of preparation time.
Okay. I love it. Thank you for having me today.
Okay. Yes. Thank you so much for being here and opening yourself up to all of this, just like massive energy that's going on and coming from me too. Again, if you want to book a reading with Georgia, Purpose Driven Astrology, all her information, I'm just going to put her email down in the box below. You can click on that and get in touch with her. Yeah, I'm so glad that you were here.
Thank you for
you guys want to book a reading with me? If I don't, she and I haven't talked about it yet, but I'm wondering if we do like a joint session or something like that. If someone wanted to do a session with both of us together, I wonder if that would be, if something like that would interest you, leave a comment down below or email me or get in touch with me. And I don't know, I'll see what we can, do.
See what comes up. I love it.
Yes. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye guys. Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
Bye.